This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski.
Featuring defense attorney, Hidden Killers daily contributor, and host of the Defense Diaries podcast, Bob Motta.
If we're to look at previous incidents where the judge says we do not believe there was actual abuse that took place here, or one scintilla of truth, which I love that line, because there'd been other times where she had made these claims and they kept coming back going, yeah, there's nothing here that proves this, making an incident out of something. So it does make me wonder a little bit, and this is in no way to deflect if there was some sort of abuse or dismissal of abuse, but people do make shit up. And I'm wondering, I'm wondering how often some of these claims in the past of abuse and such were Ashley pushing the envelope with him as much as she could to get him to try and do something that then she could go, look, see what he did to me, but he never actually did it. And so those attempts never worked out. Going to court and the custody hearing, she didn't like that very much. They did. Here's what we're learning now, though, from at least allegations from his cousin, I believe, who spoke, I believe, with Court TV the other day. They were talking about what was going on in those last moments. Doug, from what we understand, was actually under the impression that they were getting back together. Doug just didn't show up at the house. He was there helping her move things into this U-Haul under the impression that they were going to go to Massachusetts together to go live. And they were working in tandem. It wasn't, I'm helping her move her stuff out. On the same point, on that same day, she's talking to her attorney saying, no, I don't want to do this. Let's get a plan for me to go to a hotel, and then I'll move my stuff Monday. Unbeknownst to Doug, likely until that very afternoon when all of this, I guess, went down, and Mom's away at the park at the same time. That's a weird setup.
We're going to see the other side of that conversation, whatever she was telling Doug leading into that evening.
And why would why would you be saying these things and getting him to come there? This is what makes it all weird, is why is he there coming to help you do these things? And he's under the impression this is what you're going to be doing if you don't want him there and you don't trust him near you by all the allegations that you've made. So why is he there? He doesn't have to be there. He was respecting your distance. You brought him in under this pretense, and then saying that he attacked you. Again, there's not a lot of evidence to it. And it shows a pattern of these stories of these let's get together and almost setup type behavior over and over.
Right. Well, it sounds like a plot.
Yeah.
It's simple. Sounds like she was plotting it. And to go back to your earlier point, it's like I've handled many, orders of protection, hearings, what they call plenary hearings, where, the problem with that statute, especially, and every state has some version of it, and we needed it because women were being abused without any remedy forever. So, we obviously needed that statute in place to help protect women. With that, you're going to have people that use that statute as a sword as opposed to a shield, which is not what it's supposed to be used for. And to your point, where people use it to make up allegations, especially when it's relating to custody of children. That's, in my experience, where I would see the thing being used as a sword as opposed to a shield to protect them, but instead to get one or the other out of the house in anticipation of divorce. So they then had control of the house and residential, they had the residential ownership of the house during the pendency of the divorce. And typically that meant that they had the kids. So, it started getting abused, which is a shame because we need these statutes to help protect, especially women from abusive relationships. But, to think that they're not used like in an abusive fashion in order to try to set up a scenario to knock down the dominoes as you're heading into what could be a very bitter divorce is just not realistic, because it happens more frequently than you'd think. And it's always that thing that it creates when you run into one of them, like say as an attorney, where you're like, wow, yeah, like, because like when you have a client come in and they're like, yeah, she's making all this shit up, you're always taking it with a grain of salt, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, okay, well, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to wait to see what the discovery is on this thing. I want to hear what evidence they have of the abuse that they're claiming took place. And then, we'll kind of land from there. Cause you'll get those stories from clients who are like, oh yeah, she's nuts. Like everything she's saying is a complete lie. I swear to God to you, but you have no way to know, even as an attorney, you can't know. Mm-hmm. And then when things start to bear themselves out, and sometimes it takes years, years where you have a parent that's lost, visitation with their kid based strictly on allegations made by the other party with really nothing else to back it up. Mm-hmm. And then you have these huge fights, and it's always such a shame. But the fact, because it's not taking into consideration who matters most in that situation, which is the children.
Sure.
Oh, that's like the thing that people just lose sight of in these bitter divorces is the kids. Mm-hmm. It's always the kids. Like, always have that at the forefront of your mind, your children. Mm-hmm. Just be cognizant. It's not about you. Be an adult. Mm-hmm. If your relationship's falling apart, then fine. If you're in a position where you're trying to make sure that your spouse, who is very well off financially, dies so that you are now going to be set up very well financially after he's dead before the divorce takes place, well, then, that sure the hell looks like motive. Yeah. You know what I mean? So these are the things that she's going to have to be battling. And I fully anticipate that the state will be bringing in any type of protective order that she tried to go in and get, wherein they had a hearing, because that's all under oath. That's all on record. They're going to bring it in and say, look, they heard the evidence, and this is what the judge was saying then. We don't think anything has changed. So the jury's, I'm assuming, is going to get to hear all that. Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, they're prior bad acts, and it just kind of goes to show, what she does. So it's going to be interesting, though. It always is, because you never know what a jury's going to do.
Well, especially, something like this where it's a lot of, she said, he can't say anymore, and there isn't a lot of evidence. And right. How do you decipher this? How do you determine what's true? Because you certainly don't want to not believe a true victim, but like you said, right. Some people will use that shield as a sword, and that has to be called out when it happens. And this one looks like that could very well be the case, but that's why we got the trial. That's why we'll go through the evidence and see what it all
man. Always got to wait the trial.
Want more of the podcast without the ads?
Then hit subscribe to the True Crime Today Premium Plus channel on Apple Podcasts.
Try it now for 3 days, absolutely free.
You'll get access to all of our extended advance ad-free episodes instantly,
so you can binge without the break. True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Search and subscribe now on Apple Podcasts.